All right, folks, be sure to move forward and fill in all of the available seats so we can see what we have left and bring in the extra chaperones and the parents and the adults that want to be here for the award ceremony as well.
I was alone today, so I asked down there at the workshop, and they were like, "Yeah, we would kind of prefer that you stay here than go away." So if there's anything that I need, okay. Okay. Yeah. This, I mean, for us, this is our first time. So I was learning right along, and then next year I think we're going to take it as an elective so that we have a lot more time so we can do the projects. So, okay. Yeah, I'll reach out to her for next year and see if we can see what kind of ideas. Yeah, cool. Yeah, because this year, like I said, it was brand new. We met once a week. Just for the first half of the year, so we kind of lost time to do a lot of those other projects. But I mean, I got a really good group of kids. They're really excited for next year. So yeah, awesome. Thank you. All right, since he's been the real thing, let me just double check this. On the individuals, do we do them together or individually? First place by itself, second place by itself. Okay, for art essay. Okay, for literary and video. Hey, if you see me doing something wrong, smack me. Reach out the big hand in the hook. It always falls apart. That's all.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
All right, folks, we're getting ready to get started with our awards ceremony. I know we're getting a few more parents and chaperones in. We're going to go ahead and start with the first announcements. So how was everyone's convention day so far? How was your morning? All right, so we have celebrated the 3 regions of North Carolina. We've looked at the 1960s, and now it's time to celebrate and recognize the work that you've done as junior historians this year. Of course, one of our goals with this program is to get you, young people, students, excited about North Carolina history and actively involved in North Carolina history through research, documentation, preservation, and presentation. And the annual contest give you a chance to do all of those things. So we're very proud of all the work that you've done this year. We're very proud to announce the winners and to display the winners here at the museum for the next year. This year, as a Tar Heel Junior Historian member, you are part of a group that is more than 10,000 students strong across the state. We have 10,460 junior historian students this year. We have 205 clubs in 65 of North Carolina's 100 counties. So you are just a small part of a much bigger program. And this is the 66th year of the Tar Heel Junior Historian Association. So our spring magazine that you recently got on the 1960s, I told you this morning, I'm better at history than math, but I'm going to do a little bit of math here. We have a lot of junior historians in the program and here today who are in 8th grade. And so let's say that in 1953, when the Junior Historian Association was started, that you were in 8th grade, you were 13 years old, so you would have been born in 1940. So today you would be 79 years old if you were one of the first junior historians and you were an 8th grader. You would have experienced the civil rights movement and seen the integration of schools. You may have protested or served in Vietnam. You would have seen Neil Armstrong take his first steps on the moon, and you would have lived and done your junior historian research projects in a time before the internet. So as a junior historian, you've had a chance to learn this history, but you also might be a little more aware than some of the other people your age about the way that you are also making history. So every day you are making history, and we appreciate you sharing that with us. So we're going to start our award ceremony. We're going to begin with the Christopher Crittenton quiz. Speaking of the founding of THJH in 1953, Dr. Christopher Crittenton was one of the main founders. So on behalf of the North Carolina Literary and Historical Association, I will announce the winners in the quiz contest that is named after him, the Christopher Crittenton State History Quiz. So at the elementary level, in 2nd place, we have Siri Joshi from Washington Historians. from the Washington GT Magnet Elementary School. And in first place, we have Zora Montague from Mugty Mess Underwood Elementary School. For the intermediate category, in second place, we have Claire Ledford from the History Homies. And in first place, Susanna Young from Homeschoolers Unfolding North Carolina History, the Johnston County Home Educators. In the secondary division, in second place, we have Kinsia Pendergrass from the History Homies. And in first place, David Young from the Homeschoolers Unfolding History of Johnston County Homeschool Educators. All right, next up we have Kathy East, who is the editor of the Tar Heel Junior Historian magazine. She will announce the winners for the Tar Heel Junior Historian magazine article contest, and the first place essays will be printed in the fall 2019 and spring 2020 Tar Heel Junior Historian magazines. So remember now, there are 2 opportunities to be published in the magazine, and reading these essay questions and responding to them might have given you a sneak peek at some of our upcoming topics.
Hello to all the writers out there, which I hope is all of you. We're very excited this year to announce the awards. And as Jessica said, be sure to look in the fall and the spring issues for works published by other students like you, maybe in your club. It's always exciting to see beginning writers in print. So I hope you'll continue to contribute, and maybe one day, if you don't win today, maybe the next issue or 2, your essays will be in the magazine as well. Okay. Sorry, that's the artifact search contest. All right. Okay, for the fall 2019 prompt, which will be in the fall issue this year, elementary level, the second place goes to Elizabeth Peluso for the Peluso Junior Historians, Peluso Christian Academy. Congratulations. First place goes to Bethany Crawford. Okay. Just since I couldn't talk over all the applause, she's with the Seed History Seekers, Garner area homeschoolers. For the intermediate for the fall prompt, second place goes to Emily Tart with the History Homies. And first place goes to, and I hope I pronounced the name right, and if not, she can correct me, Esmeralda Aguazu. Sorry, and the Piedmont Patriot Historians. I'm going to ask her how she pronounces it. Esmeralda, tell me how you pronounce your last name. Esmeralda Aguazul, so I wanted to say that the right way. In the secondary category for the fall, an honorable mention was awarded this year to Rebecca Walker, Seed History Seekers. Okay. Second place goes to Carrie Shive for the Piedmont Patriot Historians. And our first place winner for the fall is Keegan Lewis with the History Homies. Okay. All right, coming up is the winners for our spring 2020 prompt, meaning they'll be in the spring 2020 issue. In the elementary category, there were no entries received, so I want to see entries next time from more of you in elementary school. I want more to read next year. Intermediate, we have an honorable mention in this category as well. The honorable mention goes to Sabrina Lorca Lozano in the Piedmont Patriot Historians. Second place goes to Claire Ledford, History Homes. And the first place goes to Luke Crawford, City History Seeker. Okay. And in the secondary, we have no winners in the secondary category this year, but let's look for more of those next year. All right? Thank you, and congratulations to all the winners. All right.
And while they're finishing up their pictures, before we let Kathy go, today is her birthday, so we could not let this pass. I know you all appreciate the magazine. Let's sing happy birthday to our dear Kathy.
All right.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
This is okay. Happy birthday, dear Kathy. Happy birthday. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on now to our North Carolina Historic Architecture Photography Contest. Jeanette Coleridge-Taylor is here with us from the State Historic Preservation Office to present the award for this contest.
So I wanted to say that the entries were great as usual. I'm so impressed with the photography of you young people. And sometimes the difference between first place, second place was just attention to detail. So I want you to pay better attention to detail. Finishing, the kind of paper that you print on has a lot to do with the end product. So let's pay a little bit more attention to that. So let's get started with architectural details. The second place winner is Max Halpern, STM historian, St. Thomas More Catholic School. He took a picture of Person Hall. The first place winner is Van Davis of RMA. Okay. Rocky Mount Academy. He took a picture of Whalehead Club. The next category is commercial industrial buildings. The second place winner is Lowell Brantley. He took a picture of the Rocky Mount Mill, which is a very popular place these days. It is a converted mill that has been turned into condos and restaurants and all sorts of things in Rocky Mount, and it's really cool. The first place winner is Carson Cross of Rocky Mount Academy. He took a photo of Laurel Mill. Next category is houses. The second place winner took a picture of the Palmer Marsh House, and that person is Asher Richardson of the Garner area homeschoolers. And the first place winner took a photograph of a cabin called Mountain Heritage Cabin. That is Allison English of Mars Hill Elementary. Okay, next category is industrial or public buildings. The second place winner took a photograph of Christ Church in New Bern. And that person is Sophie McPeak of Underwood Magnet Elementary School. And the first place winner took a photograph of the Body Island Lighthouse, which is a really cool lighthouse. And that is Isabel Bailey of History Homies. The last category is of monuments. The second place winner took a photograph of a So the last category is monuments. The second place winner took a photograph of Silent Sam, and that person is Albert Lacey of St. Thomas More Catholic School. And the first place winner took a photograph of the Marquis de Lafayette, Ryan Cole of History Homies. I hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. The next contest category that we will announce is the Artifact Search Contest, which is sponsored by the North Carolina Museum of History Associates. The associates help fund our program today, so we really appreciate their support, not just for this contest, but for the entire convention day and many other programs that we do throughout the year here at the museum. So Danielle Sherman is here from the North Carolina Museum of History Associates to announce the 9 winners in this year's Artifact Search Contest.
All right. We're going to let them have just a moment to return to their seats. But hi, hello. My name is Danielle Sherman. I work for the Associates, so thank you all so much for participating this year. Let's get right to it. So I have the award winners for the Artifact Search. And the first winner is Ava Thomason from Jesse Franklin Pioneers, Mount Airy Museum of Regional History. Second up, we have Claire Ledford, History Homies. Next, we have Dylan Tart, History Homies. Next, we have Evan Boyd, Jesse Franklin Pioneers, Mount Airy Museum of Regional History. James Caudill, Jesse Franklin Pioneers, Mount Airy Museum of Regional History. James, did I pronounce that right? How do you pronounce it? Caudill. Okay, it's James Caudill, everyone. So sorry for my mispronunciation. Next, we have Jordan Cook from Aquadale Explorers, Aquadale Elementary School. Lillian Stockham, SMH Over History, Smith McDowell House. Luke Bradshaw, the Time Travelers Home Education Association of Roxborough. And finally, Savannah Allen, Jesse Franklin Pioneers, Mount Airy Museum of Regional History. Congratulations to all the winners. You're welcome.
We'll get their pictures, and then we will move on to another set of awards that is sponsored by the North Carolina Literary and Historical Association. These will include the Exhibit Art Contest, the Literary Contest, and the Video Documentary Contest. Now might be a good time for me to mention the guy on the ladder taking pictures. This is his 30th convention. He has seen and photographed a lot over the years. And he makes us all look great every time. So. All right, so we will move on. We're going to start with the exhibit art contest, and we'll start with elementary group. So in second place, we have The Great Wagon Road by the Old North State History Hounds. And in first place, for the elementary group, we have the Blue Ridge Parkway by Aquadel Explorers from Aquadel Elementary School. Continuing in the exhibit art contest, moving on to the individual elementary. For second place, we have the Scottish Settlers in North Carolina by Ryan Harris of Jesse Franklin Pioneers. And in first place, John White's Watercolor Paintings of North Carolina by Sonny Licklider from the Palmer Pirates. That club is from the Charlotte Hawkins Brown Museum. Moving on to intermediate, these are our middle schoolers. For the group category, in second place, we have the ABCs of Johnston County Agricultural and Business Community by Homeschoolers Unfolding North Carolina History from the Johnston County Home Educators. In first place, the North Carolina 26th Regimental Band and Civil War Music by the Jesse Franklin Pioneers Club of the Mount Airy Museum of Regional History. All right, sticking with the intermediate division, moving on to individual projects for art exhibit. In second place, we have Operation Bumblebee by A.J. Monasterio from the Old North State History Hounds. I'll go ahead and add, this is, I think, individual intermediate exhibit art contest. This is our toughest division. We have the most entries and a lot of really wonderful projects. First place, we have the Outer Banks Lighthouses by Elijah Denton from the Greenfield Junior Historians at the Greenfield School. Moving on to the secondary grade level. For group exhibit art, in first place, we have A Treasure Trove of Talent by Seed History Seekers, the Garner area homeschoolers. And also in the secondary division for individual exhibit art, in first place, we have the Cramerton and Ideal Southern Milltown by Megan Whitworth from the Piedmont Patriot Historians from Piedmont Community Charter School. So that's the exhibit art contest. Next, we'll go through the literary contest entries. All right, literary for elementary group projects. In first place, we have a modernized compilation of O. Henry stories by Seed History Seekers. For elementary individual literary, in second place, we have Molasses at Fort Macon by Nico Aschenbrenner from the Mug Tea Mess Historians. And in first place, literary elementary, we have The Old English Home by Allison English from the Wild About History Wildcats from Mars Hill Elementary. Moving on to intermediate for the literary contest. In second place for the group projects, we have The Great War by the Jesse Franklin Pioneers from the Mount Airy Museum of Regional History. And first place intermediate group for literary is Fort Bragg at War by the History Homies. All right, for the individual literary intermediate awards, for group, hold on, where did I leave off? Individual, second place for literary intermediate, we have The Diary of Imogene Carroll Smith by Ashley Miller of the South Stanley Historical Society. And in first place, we have oh, wait a minute. All right, in first place we have Claire Ledford, Greetings from North Carolina from the History Homies. That's for individual intermediate literary. For secondary group literary, we have in first place The Obligatory Title by Seed History Seekers. I really appreciate that title. For secondary individual literary projects, in second place, we have The Game Jim Crow Couldn't Stop by Kobe Ledford of the History Homies. And in first place is Carolina Cooking by Keegan Lewis, also of the History Homies. All right. That helps us move along. Okay. Video documentary contest. We'll start with elementary. Elementary group, in first place, we have Exploring O. Henry Through Minecraft. By the Seed History Seekers. That was for group elementary. For individual elementary, for the video documentary contest, we have Elizabeth Peluso with the 1st Regiment of the North Carolina Continental Line. Moving on to the intermediate students for video documentary contest. For group, in second place, we have The Dolly Madison Controversy by the Time Travelers. And in first place group, we have The Battle of Guilford Courthouse by the Lincoln Historians from the Academy at Lincoln. And then intermediate individual for video documentary contest, first place, A Salem Girl by Cora Branch from the Jesse Franklin Pioneers of the Mount Airy Museum of Regional History. We did not have any entries submitted in the secondary division for video documentary contests, so high schoolers, if you want to try that out next year, we'd love to have some more entries. We're going to move on now to our special awards, which are additional recognition for entries that relate to the theme of the selected and sponsoring agency. The first is the African American History Award and is sponsored by the North Carolina African American Heritage Commission. The commission works across the Department of Cultural Resources to achieve the mission of preserving, protecting, and promoting North Carolina's African American history, art, and culture for all people. We are honored to have Dr. Gail Hayes with us to announce this year's winner in the African American History Award.
Good afternoon. Y'all sound really like old people. Good afternoon. Love it, love it, love it. You thought I was going to get up here and be like this. No, that's not how I roll. First of all, I want to say how exciting it is for me to hear all the work you've done and all the work you're doing. And it's about history. And you are the generation that's going to make changes because of what you are contributing to North Carolina's history. So I salute you. We have great expectations. I am here on behalf of the African American Heritage Commission to present this award let me tell you what it's for. When I saw the title, it really got me. The game Jim Crow couldn't stop. And this award goes to Kobe Ledford of the History Homies. Where are you?
He's not here today, but this is his sister.
Oh, it's his sister. Well, congratulations to him anyway, because I cannot wait to see this project. So thank you so much for all the work you do. And parents, I have to salute you too, because without you, they wouldn't be here. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this event.
Another special award that we have is our American Indian History Award, and that is sponsored by our state's Commission of Indian Affairs. There were no entries submitted this year, so when you're thinking of project topics next year, remember American Indian history and the American Indian perspective for your projects. So we're going to move on to the Genealogy Award, which is sponsored by the Friends of the Archives. Remember that the State Archives of North Carolina is a great place to start your research and find primary sources, not just for genealogy projects, but for all of your junior historian projects. And they've got a lot of information available on their website. So Debbie Blake will announce this year's recipient.
The Genealogy Award is sponsored by the Friends of the Archives, as Ms. Pratt said, and it's given to the student whose project presents an orderly delineation of generations of a family, starting with the creator of the project and going back several generations. It can take the form of pedigree charts or family trees. It can also include family stories as well as photographs. This year's winner of the Genealogy Prize is Allison English of the Wild About History Mars Wildcats of Mars Hill Elementary School. Her project is entitled Old English Home. Congratulations, Miss English.
All right. The Sports History Award is sponsored by the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame, which is housed on the third floor here at the museum. This year, the Sports History Award goes to Evan Boyd for his Dale Earnhardt autograph that was submitted in the Artifact Search Contest. Evan is from the Jesse Franklin Pioneers Club at the Mount Airy Museum of Regional History. All right, next we have Harriet Sutherland, who will announce the winner of the Women's History Award, which is sponsored by the North Carolina Council for Women and Youth Involvement.
While I have the floor, I want to plug my program, which is Students Against Destructive Decisions, or SAD, if y'all have heard of that. If you haven't, if you don't have SAD in your schools or in your home schools, go to ncsad.org and you will learn all you need to know about how to get one started. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. The Women's History Award, the name of the entry was Christine Darden, and it goes to Keegan Lewis, History Homies, Home.
Keegan's not here today. Keegan's not here today.
Oh. So you're getting all the awards today, aren't you?
All right, thank you. We're going to skip around just a little bit. Before we move to History in Action, I'm going to go down to our Of the Year awards. Just make sure everybody's paying attention. We're going to start with our Rookie Chapter of the Year award. This is an award for a first or second year club that has jumped into the Junior Historian Association, is trying something new. We want to recognize all of the efforts that it takes to be a part of this program and to come to convention and enter the contest. And so this year we have selected a club that really seems to show the spirit of the Tar Heel Junior Historian Association, and we want to recognize the Washington historians from Washington GT Magnet Elementary School as this year's Rookie Chapter of the Year. So if y'all want to come on up, we'll take your picture. We also have an Advisor of the Year award. Remember, if you would like for your club or your advisor to be considered for these awards, you need to send us a nomination. Work with another adult with your group or get some students together and send us some information. Let us know what your club is doing, and we can recognize the people that are working to bring it to you. This morning in his talk back, Mike Wiley said something that reminded me a lot of junior historian advisors. He said he was talking about his 6th grade teacher who asked him to be Abraham Lincoln in the school play, and he said that teachers know your potential before you do. And I think that our junior historian advisors definitely are able to recognize the potential of their students to go out and be historians, to research and to discover history and to share history from new perspectives and to present that at the level that we are even willing to display at the State History Museum. So thank you to all of the advisors for all of the work that you do. I'm especially excited about our 2019 Advisor of the Year, someone who has a lot of junior historian experience and has kind of moved around, moved schools, wasn't able to participate in the program for a while, and then has kind of come back to us now. Anita Henry from Wild About History, Wildcats. From Mars Hill Elementary, they're here from Madison County. And Anita, we think you're wonderful, and we know your students think the same, so thank you. The next award that I will announce is for the Chapter of the Year. So a little different from the Rookie Chapter of the Year, a club that's been with us. They've stuck with it, and they continue to do great work. You've already heard their name a lot today. We've got the Seed History Seekers, the Garner Area Homeschoolers, our 2019 Chapter of the Year. So we'll get this picture, and then we'll get all of y'all in here. All right, so now we're going to go back to History in Action. The History in Action Award was started to recognize junior historians and clubs in our gallery for the great service project that so many groups were already doing. So I encourage all of the clubs, if you didn't participate this year in a History in Action service project, to maybe I'm going to tell you a little bit about the clubs that did this year, and you might feel inspired to go and do something similar. So each club that participates in History in Action will be recognized in our gallery. Each club has had their name on a slip of paper into our beautiful piece of pottery here. So we'll do a drawing at the end and see which club is going to be recognized with a $100 bill to put towards their convention travel or future meetings or however they see fit. So groups participating in History in Action this year, we had the Aquadale Explorers from Aquadale Elementary School, who studied the history of their school. They wanted to find out more. They did some research. They turned to their community for help. So they did some oral history interviews, and the 5th grade students were able to find out a plethora of information through their search and turned it into a display for their school, which they could share so other students could learn the history as well. We also had the Reynolds Mountain Junior Historians participating in History in Action this year. Their project is titled The Smiths and the McDowells. So they worked with the Smith McDowell house in their area for part of their project. Students learned about how the house was built, who lived in it, and the businesses that the family owned. And they also helped out at the site. So they learned about conservation work for artifacts and were able to lend a hand. The RMA Junior Historians from Rocky Mountain Academy had a really interesting project. They partnered with Kemp Meadows, who had purchased negatives of Rocky Mountain photographer Bugs Behringer's work. And so the students worked with him to scan and preserve the negatives with the assistance of the Meadows family. And for the research portion of their project, club members studied the photographs and made some comparisons to what they saw in the photographs from the 1950s to life today. So that's what we call thinking like historians. The Seed History Seekers also participated in History in Action. The students worked together to research and develop a series of monologues based on famous North Carolinians, as well as a historical fiction play. So students toured this museum and connected with members of their community for inspiration to create the scripts. And then they presented their work to the public, and I'm sure you got rave reviews. Also, Tell the Next Generation Homeschool Club from Forest City explored the murals and monuments and landmarks of their town. Students learned how murals can reflect history and culture of a community. They also researched the history behind some of the monuments, and they created a brochure so that visitors to their area can be guided around Forest Cities and some of these monuments. So, Chelsea, I'm going to shake it up real good. All right, Reynolds Mountain Junior Historians for your project for the Smiths and the McDowells. So thank you for giving back to your community and for your History in Action to all of the clubs that participated. Thank you. All right, folks, just a few parting words. We're going to do the surveys online this year. Advisors, look for those emails so you can share feedback with us from your perspective, how the day went, and also we want to know what your students thought of the workshop and of their day. Don't forget, on your way out, you can pick up projects. If you had winning entries from last year, winning and non-winning entries from this year, at the table right outside of the auditorium. Also, art projects that will not be displayed in the gallery can be picked up on the second floor where you dropped them off this morning. And thank you all for your work this year and for a great day. We'll see you next year on April 24th.
It's okay, I'm gonna run and grab them real quick.
Okay. Oh, and you have their money?
Infantrymen. We got an award. I hope they turn that off. Is it off? If I was, then they would have turned this off real fast.
Yeah.